This is the Criterion Creeps podcast, and tonight we're talking about Masculin, FEMININ.
Ooh, wow.
Directed by one Jean-Luc Godard from 1966. Would you like to hear a tagline for this film, RJ?
I'd like nothing more. Sounds awesome.
Jean-Luc Godard's swinging look at youth and love in Paris today. Right now.
Gabbo. That kind? Or
yeah. Garbo's coming.
Look, Smith, there's a Garbo is coming. Yes.
And a synopsis for this film.
Oh, yeah.
Paul, a young idealist trying to figure out what he wants to do with his life, takes a job interviewing people for a marketing research firm. He does. He moves in with aspiring pop singer Madeline. Paul, however, is disillusioned by the growing commercialism in society, while Madeline just wants to be successful. The story is told in a series of 15 unrelated vignettes.
Whoa. Was that the tagline?
That's the synopsis, RJ.
Okay. What do they mean unrelated?
Like, it's, they drift. There's no, thorough line in the movie.
I mean, no, but it is, one continuous story.
Yeah,
right?
but there's scenes that end with, people being shot that you never ever see again. There's no accumulation to it. It's just like, oh, yeah, that happened. And then they move along.
I guess, yeah.
Disjointed. It's
disjunctive?
No. What do we call it? So anyway, how about let's read the back of the box. Let's flip that over here on Criterion.com.
Okay.
With Masculin, FEMININ, ruthless stylist and iconoclast. You know what that means, RJ?
I know what stylist means.
It's just about fucking taking down those images, RJ. Blowing them up.
Is that what iconoclast means?
Yeah.
All I know is I don't know much.
Yeah. But you think you love me? Yeah. So yeah. He's taking on the institution, man.
He's going after the people, man.
You think you know what you think? Boom. I'm gonna do a filmic essay.
A what kind?
Filmic.
Sounds. Well, can you explain what that means, though?
Jean-Luc Godard introduces the world to, quote, the children of Marx and Coca-Cola, unquote, through a gang of restless youths engaged in hopeless love affairs with music, revolution, and one another. French New Wave icon, isn't that interesting? Jean-Pierre Lude stars as Paul, an idealistic would-be intellectual struggling to forge a relationship with the adorable pop star Madeline, real-life yee-yee girl Chantal Goya. Through their tempestuous affair, Godard fashions a candid and wildly funny free-form examination of youth culture in pulsating 1960s Paris, mixing satire and tragedy as only Godard can.
What was the S word you used just there? Sat what?
Don't.
Is it skewering?
So, okay. Last week we were talking about, was it Sam? He was talking about how the Criterion covers are kind of butt.
Yes.
Okay, so have you seen the Masculin, FEMININ poster, the cover art? So
I mean, not is it the same as on Letterboxd?
No, it's different.
Okay.
It's Chantal Goya, but
one of my faves.
Yeah, well, she's the main character of this. I have to say, I think this is not the decisive moment I would choose of a still if I was selecting an image to run with.
Just her floating head?
Well, it's just it's not even man, she's got a great smile, and this is kind of this half smile. It's it's the moment before she smiles. Isn't that interesting? It's no. It's just that's not what you'd go with.
I would have preferred that the image of the guy with the knife in his chest on the cover.
Exactly.
That I mean, I would have bought that movie and then been disappointed later.
Oh,
do you know what I mean? Because I would have been expecting a guy with a knife in the chest.
And you're is this going to happen a lot in the movie?
I'd be like, man, this looks awesome. Masculine, FEMININ. So men and women beating the shit out of each other.
Hell yeah.
You know?
Masculine, feminine. Masculine v feminine?
Ooh, dawn of... Not justice.
Dawn of Tomorrow.
Dawn of incels?
No. That's already...
Wow.
We've already passed that point. Well, maybe in 66 is a whole new ballgame, but not at all. Maybe Godard is like a... He's kind of
ahead of the curve?
Yeah, he's a... We'll talk about his
sure.
Creepy weirdo-ness, this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, fun fact. So Godard's like on the outs with Anna Karenina at this point. So he's on the prowl.
For Anna Karenina-esque
Well,
types.
yeah, he's got a type, and I feel like he really likes this Chantal Goya an awful lot. I think maybe he was sizing her up a little bit. You know, he's a 35-year-old creepo, and he's like, I make movies. You know Godard? You know Godardian? That's me.
Ooh. So Goya,
imagine
is
that,
she related to
RJ,
Goya, the artist?
Imagine RJ, imagine you're macking. You're macking away.
What does that mean?
You come across a special person. I don't know, man, woman. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, hey, you've heard of Belogian?
I know Belogian.
Belogian.
Yeah, I know that one.
But I think to anglicize it, Belogian.
Okay, sure.
And they go, well, yeah, everyone's heard of that. You're like, well, that's me.
And you go, oh, well, I'm sorry, but that's actually me that you're talking about.
Belogian, real hard.
Well, Belogian is
Fancy.
Belogia. Oh, me. Oh.
So.
Yeah.
I completely forgot I had seen this movie before.
That good, eh?
Yeah, I watched it 5 years ago, RJ.
And what'd you rate it then?
At the time, I gave this movie apparently 4 stars.
Wow, pretty generous from you. I don't think you've given a 4-star rating in a year and a half.
That was 2016. Different time. I got this out from the library, from the university library.
The library?
At the library.
Wow, what a nerd.
And we would have been real deep and hot doing the podcast at this point. A few months in, actually.
What words did you just use to describe that?
Deep and hot? Like a Chicago-style pizza.
Oh, a deep dish.
Yeah. And it's hot and deep, right?
I mean, depends on who you ask.
So, I didn't really remember much about the movie, other than, I guess at the time I watched it, I was in the mood for what Godard had to offer.
Okay.
And I came into this movie this week kind of being like, oh, fuck, I guess I've seen this movie before. I've completely forgotten. The poster that they do use over here on the Criterion, not a good poster, I must say.
I mean, it's a poster, for sure.
Yeah, well, it's an image.
It looks like Matisse. Not Matisse. What's the horse slaughter movie? The BDSM one.
Matrice.
Yeah, it looks like Matrice. It looks like the Matrice poster.
It doesn't.
It gives off the vibe. Do you know about vibes, Jarrett?
There's no lady in leather on this cover.
Yeah, but do you know about vibes?
No, I don't.
Well, I'll tell you about vibes one day.
So,
one day.
Yeah, I went in, couldn't remember a goddamn thing about it. So I'm like, well, I got a job to do. I got this podcast. Let's check it out. Popped it in, and I was watching this. I didn't even pop it in. I just went to the Criterion channel, RJ.
Oh, wow. And was it available on said thing?
It was. And wow. I was kind of startled because I was like, man, the picture on this looks so good.
Did it?
It did. This is I'm not sure how old the restoration of this was, even if it's from 2005, but I think those pixels look pretty nice, the nice film grain. One thing you can say about Godard, he knew how to shoot a movie.
Did he?
Well, he didn't do it. He hired guys to do that for him. Who's the cinematography in this one? Willie Currant?
Oh, Willie?
Big
I know. I've known Willie for years.
He was shooting some Ellen Robbe-Gurliet movies, which are always nice looking too. And I don't know if you remember this. He also shot a little movie called Pootie Tang.
I know Pootie Tang.
You know about The Babysitter's Club, the movie? Shot that too.
I think I've seen that movie actually.
And
it sounds super familiar.
Delivering Milo.
I think I know that as well.
See,
Like,
you're living in Willie Current's world. You just didn't realize it.
I think I know all of those movies. Delivering Milo? Pootie Tang?
Pretty.
Pootie Tang. Is that that's a drink, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, Louis C.K. directed Pootie Tang.
Yeah. Well,
But
you know how that goes.
yeah, I know how that goes.
Don't go to rooms.
Wow, I mean, try to get out of there. Anyways,
No. So anyway,
yeah.
I just felt like a whole new experience watching this movie all over again because I'm like, I don't remember much of it.
It was brand new.
It was brand new, but there were scenes I was like, oh yeah, this, and then I spent a lot of time thinking, RJ, thinking about.
What?
I thought about this movie as I was watching it. The experience of watching what this movie had to offer. This movie called Masculin, Feminine, about this young man who, who's very much clearly old Godard putting his eggs into this basket of this guy and being horny and being an intellectual, though. Intellectually horny.
How horny were you talking?
Wow, I mean, this guy, he's just talking about these breasts constantly.
He does talk about breasts a lot. He says, "I like your breasts."
He likes to ask questions. He's kind of like that Jerry guy from last week's movie, Naked. A little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah.
He's asking questions, probing questions. But what is he probing with? His psychic penis? Write this down and remember, there might be a test at the end.
I legitimately couldn't say.
Okay.
Right. I don't know.
Good. Were you aware that Paul had recently fulfilled his military service?
Yeah, there is a comment on that in the opening dialogue, I believe.
In Z Cafe.
Yeah.
And
so
then,
I was made aware of this situation.
It was explained. Madeline sits down a ways away from this man that neither of them know one another, I guess. And he starts like, "Hey, what are you doing, pretty lady? We know
one of these.
We know some of the same people." And she's kind of like, "Uh-huh. Oh, really? Where are you going to work?" "I got a job from one of our mutual friends." And he's like, "Oh, he works in a magazine." "Oh, he works in a magazine?" And you go, is that how jobs work? I got a job somewhere. I don't know where.
I mean, it could be a magazine. I mean, I don't even really have a job. I just show up at a place, and they think I work there. I don't get paid. I'm just there.
Do you have a stapler?
No, I mean, there's a couple kicking around, but none of them are really mine. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So this there's an exchange, a dialogue.
Yeah.
And then there's a culmination of a domestic spat, but with these people who are just like in the same restaurant, and their woman starts yelling, and this man says, "I'm going to keep the kid," and he walks out with this child, and this woman chases after him with a gun and shoots him dead. In theory.
Allegedly.
Sure. This guy's shot. And you're like, oh, and that's vignette 1.
Vignette.
Next up, we have Paul. He goes to meet his friend Robert, who I think he asks, "How's it going?" And Robert responds, "Terrible."
Terrible. So it was really weird. I got a screenshot of that, and then when I was trying to upload my screenshots, half of them didn't work, and I went, "Oh." But I thought that was a good one. I liked that one.
That's one of the better ones.
One of the better ones. Yeah, it's our week by week, some would say.
No. And guess what?
Some might say.
They have a conversation.
Do they?
They talk about politics.
What do they talk about in the politics, Jarrett?
State policy?
They talk about state policy?
Yeah. I think they're talking about some artists imprisoned somewhere.
What kind of prison? Like, are we talking like Nelson Mandela kind of thing, or?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Wikipedia tells me Rio de Janeiro. Group of artists and writers in
yeah.
Rio de Janeiro accused of voicing their opposition to state policy. There you go.
You ever been to Rio?
I have not. I don't go places.
Okay.
Everything scares me.
I mean, I haven't either. I just.
But that's vignette 2. 13.
Wow, it just flies by.
13 to go. Paul begins working for the magazine.
Sure he does.
And he sees Madeline there. And he's like,
of course.
Hi, lady. And I'm going to ask you some questions. And she's like, hey, remember when you said we'd go out sometimes? She's like, yeah, I just kind of say that because I want you to fuck off. But he's like, well, what do you mean? Well, what do you mean when you say you want to go out? He's like, well, let's fuck, essentially. And she's like,
wow.
well, I don't want to do that. But, yeah, he's persistent.
Is that what it takes?
Mm-hmm. That's what Criterion's taught me. That's what John Criterion's told me and Gary. Persistence.
John Criterion's told us a lot of things.
But this does not fulfill the angst of an incel. Because they get together. They hook up. It's just like that. A couple of Chad and Stacy's. Look how good looking they are. Of course they're like that. Mm-hmm.
Which one's Chad?
Paul.
Which one's Stacy?
Madeline.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I just need to be sure.
Okay. Keep track. You're keeping notes. Yeah, it's not one of those types of movies. It doesn't get the fanfic tag, I noticed.
Well, I mean, I was close, but I was like, I don't know. I was like, it's.
But these kids are such scamps. Look at them. So Paul is introduced to roommate Elizabeth Coquette.
Yeah, we all got one of those.
And then there's Robert, and you're kind of like there's like some sort of tension going on because they're all horny for like one another. Maybe I don't know what's going on.
They're what?
There's a lot of like touching. There's like that familial like shoulder touching going on, and then they go, let's go run through the streets.
And what do they do when they get there?
I don't know. Then it kind of like transitions to a protest, some like action on the streets. There's some American GI parking along the road, and then Paul strikes up a conversation with the driver, while on the other side they're graffitiing on the side of it about Vietnam.
What about Vietnam?
That's bad. You should leave Vietnam. Peace in Vietnam.
Send the boys home.
Yeah. Send the boys home.
That kind of stuff.
And then they're like, we got you guys. We stuck it to the system.
We spray painted their car, and we really got them boys.
Yeah. Free. It's 1966. It's the moment, man. Because you know what? Because what the kids are doing these days is they're watching movies about, I guess, what the equivalent. So like this is like if we're watching this now, what movie would they be watching in 1966? So
Joe Dirt.
So remove 60 years. So they'd be watching movies about free youths in 1910. So
Joe Dirt.
Are they watching Jules and Jim? But like, but like a silent film version of Jules and Jim, a movie that doesn't exist because there was no Godardian or no, I should say, no French New Wave equivalent. They would not have been able to watch that type of experience. They're like, oh man, look at this moment that they're in. This is so exciting.
I don't know if the polygamy thing would have flown in 1910. And people are a little bit more stuck up, you know.
Wow. Again, this is something that comes up too when we were talking about. Oh God, Angel at My Table.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like, isn't this crazy how people lived?
And you go, yeah.
People are just banging, but they're not married. It's like, oh man, I thought we invented that in 2010.
Out of wedlock? I don't think so.
People haven't been doing this through time.
Well, no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, people have been pretty good to each other for a long time, dude.
For a long time.
For a long time. You should know that.
There's an exchange in another scene here on a train between a woman and two guys. She is a white woman, and they're two black men. And they're saying mean words to one another, RJ. Very mean words. And there is also now a gun drawn. There's this undercurrent of violence.
There is, and I was not it. I was like, man.
What's that?
I said I wasn't expecting it, and I was surprised by it. I was like, why are these guys so violent throughout this whole movie? Surprising, to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's this thing where Madeline is a singer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
yeah.
But
yeah.
So that's a thing that's going on, but it doesn't seem to. It kind of drifts in and out of importance because her accomplishments mean less than Paul's.
I mean, to a lot of people, yeah. She takes her singing very seriously. She tells us.
Yes.
It's made very clear.
Mm-hmm. Paul brings her to a cafe, and he proposes to her, and she's kind of like, "Well,
does she accept?
We'll talk about that later."
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene where Paul's kind of been dumped while she's like off to go do the release party, the junket. Mm-hmm. He goes and records what was it? Fuck, how does it go? He's kind of like, he looks like he's horn dogging a little bit, and he follows this like one young woman that's like on the train platform. But there's no cake, I should note. He kind of follows her into a coin booth, and she's like, "You can like." I'll show you my tits for like 150 francs. He's like, "Oh, it seems pretty expensive." And you're like, "What? What's going on?" And then she's like, "Well, okay, I'll do it for 100." And then he's like, "Never mind." And she's like, "Okay." It's like, curious.
How much would you charge?
How much would I charge to take a look at these?
Yeah, like if someone was like, "Hey, show me your chest, Jarrett." Mm-hmm. How much would you charge them?
I would pass. Can I pass? Is that an option?
What is the unpassable amount? Like if someone presented it as like, this is how much I would give you. What's the number that you couldn't pass on is what I'm asking.
Well, I think we'd be talking like Power 9 from Magic the Gathering.
Sure.
I want Power 9 money.
Well, for people who aren't enormous nerds, could you explain what Power 9 means?
Are you familiar with the Black Lotus?
I know White Lotus. It was a show I watched.
Okay. Do you know about Mox Sapphires, Mox Jets? Do you know about Time Walk, Time Twister, Ancestral Recall?
I know about when you have to go to the bathroom real bad. Most
cards in the Power 9 cost as much as a car. Each one. There's 9 of them.
As a car?
As
like an automobile?
As a vehicle, correct.
Like a new one or like a used 10-year-old vehicle?
10, but nowadays with the used market, 15-year-old cars.
Oh, well, I mean,
we're looking
like
it's brutal. 3K, kind of minimum.
Ooh.
Minimum.
Okay, so what can we do about this?
Okay, well,
like as individuals.
Well, I'm saying if you want to see my titties, you got to treat me right.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. But hey, you know what also happens in this movie is he records a message, like a record message for Madeline.
Mm-hmm.
And then he leaves, and then a guy comes out of nowhere and proceeds to stab himself. And that's when I was like, whoa, is business about to pick up? Like, what's all this about? What's this weird violent streak in Godard? Because when you get to Weekend, my goodness.
I mean, I'm not going to get to Weekend. I'm not going to watch that fucking thing. But you will watch it, I'm sure, right?
Yeah. That's an interesting movie, RJ.
Weekend?
Yes, something I can't necessarily say about all of Godard's films.
Well, are any of them interesting?
No. And then
it's something someone would say once.
Then there's some talk about Bob Dylan.
There is a lot of Bob Dylan talk.
Yeah,
I was kind of surprised by it. I was like,
he was a big deal.
To what end?
He was a big deal. He's a big star, big pop culture, and he kind of fits the mode of the youths. I think.
Okay, I know, but I was still like, to what end? I was like, what are you going for? Godard?
Godard? Godard?
Hey, Godard. What are you doing over there, bud?
But hey, guess what? Paul starts living with some ladies.
In what sense?
He just takes up shop. He's just he's a man about the house.
In a good way, or
I don't know. It seems like it's pretty decent at the beginning. And then he starts interviewing people, and there's this really, really long bit where he interviews this woman and asking her questions that she doesn't want to answer, and talk about the pill. That's why
he says some other pretty troubling thing.
Yeah, I can't. If you got notes on it, jump in here. I just know that, like, I remember the scene, and it just goes on for some time. This vignette of her by the window and just asking probing questions.
It is the longest conversation I have ever seen on film, and I mean that.
We're talking like Dinner with Andre long.
It's the longest conversation where they say the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So do you date anyone? No, not really.
Would it surprise you to learn that Godard didn't have a script for this movie? He just had a coil back of ideas.
You don't say. We didn't mention in the news, but that James McAvoy movie where it's just he doesn't have a script, but everyone else does, sounds like complete fucking horseshit. What the fuck is that? Get out of here.
Insufferable. It's
like when Terrence Malick's like, we're not going to have a script. You guys just wing it. It's like, no. No. I don't want it. If I want improv, I'll go watch improv. You know what I mean? It's horseshit. Anyways, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. So
Paul tells Elizabeth that Madeline is pregnant. Elizabeth is skeptical. There's another scene where the woman who shot that guy at the beginning, she's a prostitute.
I mean, they're all prostitutes.
Whoa.
Aren't we all prostitutes in the grander scheme?
Yeah, I mean, we got that Patreon. We're just...
I mean, more like...
pod workers.
Yeah.
Like pod racing.
Ooh, like little buff boys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jake Lloyd's the original buff boy.
Some would say.
Yeah.
Some would say.
That's how he got the role. And George Lucas looked on and went, buff.
He said, "You're looking buff, bud."
Jesus.
Buff.
Yeah, so I don't know what to say about this fucking movie.
Tell me how you really feel.
It kind of ends with Paul killing himself.
Did you find the ending abrupt and
yes,
a little bit out of, not even out of nowhere, but you're like, unnecessary?
Did you like how it went from feminine and then it just went to Finn? You like that?
I didn't like that, actually. That was one of the more annoying things of the movie for me.
One of the more annoying things. Yeah, you have to narrow that one down.
Into what is more annoying?
Yeah, so there's like a man who does the self-immolate thing in protest and peace of Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Her song career, I guess, is like going well. There's stuff about Charles de Gaulle.
Allegedly.
You know about Charles de Gaulle? Is he one of your favorite presidents of France?
I mean, some people say I am Charles de Gaulle.
Ooh, that's not a good thing. I mean, you have an airport named after you. Yeah, it's pretty bad. He wasn't a great guy.
Oh.
Very I mean there's a whole movie about someone being paid to assassinate him. Day of the Jackal.
It wasn't me though.
Well, I mean, there was someone trying to kill you.
A lot of people are trying. No one's done it yet.
So far. As you look off to the side.
Rob Eagle emerges through the back room.
Don't encourage.
Well, I mean, he sent me an image of you, which I actually do want to post that one time, the troubling image of you, but I'm waiting on it. I'm waiting for the right time. Waiting. What were you talking about?
Oh, Masculin, Feminine.
What's that?
What's this title? What's the title of this movie mean to you, RJ?
Not much.
Cool.
I mean, there are men and there are women in the movie, and that's about the high and the low that I got out of it.
Who comes out on top with this movie?
No one?
We want to hear about the reception to this film that we're so high on.
The reception?
Due to the portrayal of youth and sex, the film was prohibited to persons under 18 in France. The very audience it was meant for, griped Godard.
Griped?
That's what it says. That's all I wanted to say for it, because how often do you get to say griped in your life these days?
I mean, I talk about gripes all the time. But
I mean, you gripe, but do you get to say I griped?
These fucking filmmakers, I griped. As I didn't want my movie released on streaming,
French journalist Georges Sadal praised the film's ability to speak to young people, while H. Chapier criticized the film but praised Lode's performance. British critic Tom Milne called it Godard's most complex film to date. American critic Pauline Kael said that it was that rare achievement, a work of grace and beauty in a contemporary setting. Andrew Saris called it the film of the season. Judith Chris said that it had flashes of original wit and contemporary perceptions. Bosley Crowther disliked the film and called it entertainment of only the most loose and spotty sort.
What does he mean?
It's like genitals.
Loose and spotty? I hope not. You better go to the doctor, bud.
the most loose and spotty sort. Gene Muskowski called it naive and knowing, irritating and engaging.
Irritating and engaging?
Yeah.
I feel like these guys are they just looked up like synonyms and but then like antonyms, and they're like, what are words that go together but are also opposing? We're going to look these up.
Mm-hmm.
And you go, okay. Excuse me?
I don't know.
What's going on over there, bud?
I don't know. We can fill in air,
Fill in air? Did we have dead air that needed to be filled? Okay, tell me what you think.
I think this movie's pants.
Okay.
I think I don't know. Honestly, with everything that's going on in the world, this seems so like a relic of a different era, and Godard has way better movies than this. This is just as, like, to me, I'm indifferent to this like I am to Contempt.
Sure.
Yeah, watching this is just brutal though. Like, feels so outdated. In the way, like, we're like, well, it's a snapshot into youth culture. I'm like, yeah, we did that too with those, like, that fucking, was it Crazed Fruit shit?
Well, don't forget the entire Antoine Donnell series.
But those are watchable movies though.
They are, but it's like, and that's what I mean. It's like he's done it already, so it's like he does this again.
That's Truffaut. Like, that's Truffaut.
Oh fuck!
You son of a bitch.
Same actor though.
Oh, Jean-Pierre Lude.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I've seen this guy in all these roles before, and I don't need to see. He doesn't need to be every young male. Like, do you know what I mean?
Have you seen him all grown up?
No. Oh. Why would I?
Okay, let's check here. Let's get the live reaction. Here we go. Going to the chat, and it is sent.
Whoa. What?
We're like, you see that walking down the street, and you're just like, oh, it's Antoine Donnell. It's like, that's Antoine Donnell.
I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. It looks like a guy who's like kind of Meatloaf, but also like like I don't know. I don't know how to describe. Like, it's kind of, he's just an old weird French guy. He looks nothing like younger Antoine Donnell. Nothing.
The ravages of time.
Oh man, some people age and some people age. Do you know what I mean?
I'd never seen it. I was just like, oh, I clicked on this, and it's like, whoa.
I mean, like, okay, so he doesn't look bad, or anything like that. He looks like a completely different person.
Okay, so this is him in the interstitial years, and this is also like
interstitial to what?
To like when you see him here in Masculine, Feminine, to what I just sent you. This is kind of like his Gary Oldman phase.
Okay, so the older picture, he looks like a guy who hangs out with Roman Polanski a lot, but like isn't friends with Roman Polanski. And then this interstitial phase also looks like a guy who tries to hang out with Roman Polanski a lot.
And he's in that jacuzzi,
but isn't quite friends. And again, these are three completely different people. I don't recognize these at all.
This is some of that like Paul McCartney was replaced things.
Yeah, this is Advil lasagna. This is some Avril Lavigne type shit.
This is this is so much more interesting than this movie.
Yeah, like I said, he doesn't look bad or anything. It's just like this guy looks so different than every other instance I've seen him. Insane. Wild.
Mm-hmm.
Wild stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So on your Antoine Denel scale, where does this rate?
Let's take a look. It's been a while since I've looked at these movies and see how it holds up. Because they could all be the same movie.
I think out of the Danielle, and see that's why I got confused. But out of the Danielle series, I think Antoine and Colette was my high point.
100%. That was definitely my the winner chicken dinner.
Wiener. And then Stolen Kisses. And then later, eventually, Bed and Board, which is not good. Actually, well, there's two more. Did I miss them? Fuck, I probably missed them.
Oh, man.
The posters probably changed.
Son of a dog.
Because
it goes 400 Blows to Antoine and Colette, to Stolen Kisses, to Bed and Board.
And then Bed and Board. Okay.
And then
there's
Love on the Run. Yeah, the short film is Antoine and Colette because that was like part of a.
And that's
TV.
the best one.
That's the best one, I think, of all 5 or whatever it is.
And that's a lot better than Masculin, Feminine.
Ooh, yeah. I mean,
and I know what the YouTube people say. Like as you pointed out, Truffaut, Godard, different things. It's like yes, but they're all telling the same story. It's just this young guy just trying to get after. What was that Louis C.K. movie you brought up earlier?
Pootie Tang.
Yeah, something in that sense. So it's just this dude chasing ladies, and you're like, all right, okay. And then I like the French, Jarrett. Can I tell you about the French a little bit?
Okay, here's another good one. I don't know if this is supposed to be Jean Berlode from. It's a movie called I Hired a Contract Killer. It's from 1990. It's directed by Aki Kaurismäki.
Oh, I love that guy.
He's actually good. I've only seen one of his movies, and I thought it was pretty decent. This movie, though, like this poster, it looks like Alan Partridge.
from the Parsons Project?
Like Steve Coogan. It looks... Okay. Here, I'll just send it to you, because it's not going to let me do it any other way. But this is captivating radio where we describe things. So you have to click on the link, and then it'll take you to the page, the letterbox page, and I'm going to send you a picture of Alan Partridge, Steve Coogan, who I'm assuming you know who it is.
I know Steve Coogan.
Okay, but you tell me, that does not look like Steve Coogan?
The side, yeah, that does look like Steve Coogan quite a bit.
No.
Yeah, that's a little bizarre.
Interstitial face.
Interstitial. I've never heard that used to describe people before.
Well,
interstitial.
You heard it here first, folks.
I mean, there's interstitial cells in your testes.
Ooh.
If you know what I mean. If you know, you know.
Is that like the psychic penis?
Well, I don't want to say, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care for it. But anyways,
what did you think of Masculine, Feminine?
It's pants.
It's pants.
It's pants. I mean, there's some there's some stuff in it that's fine, but on the whole, I kind of really agree with you where you're like, this movie, it, like, I don't know what it would have played like 50 years ago, but in the current day and time, it's just like, we don't got time for this shit. Move on.
Things are like, because this is a weird movie because it was this glimmer of that 1966, which then transitioned to like student riots like 1 year later. Yep. It was like this big explosive moment, and this is like, oh hey, this is all fun and janky, and like we're making crazy films, and now we're like, oh yeah, that we lost that war, dudes. Like we're running headlong into a real nightmarescape. I think
we're getting there.
Worse than what they thought was coming, and it's like, oh yeah, no, and everyone's on board. Like people, like in our neck of the woods, whoo man, people can't organize for shit, and violence. Whoo, it's that's the furthest thing that's ever going to happen. And this movie is just like presenting it as this action, which was like, oh, that seemed to be a little bit more acceptable at one point in time. That's gone, and now no more, and now it's like, oh, now you can watch. Shang-Chi and
sure
in theater until they lock down
in 1 hour and 4 minutes when they lock down.
Yeah,
in our current place. But yeah, and like exactly like, so I don't know what it would have been like there, but some of the shit that's in this, it's like the French, they're so carefree. They're just like, wow, it's whatever, you'll do this when we do all that. And you're like, I get it. You guys just, you just go with the wind. I understand. It's whatever. I don't know. There's a few things like Godard was trying his like little flashcard, like title card things where it's like human labor is the resurrection. And you're just like, enough.
And he was only getting started.
I know, but at this point for us, I'm like, enough. I was like, I don't need this anymore. Stop. I don't know. I don't care about this horny little guy trying to get after stuff. I don't care about his like Slavic looking cousin or whatever that guy is. Like,
what do you mean?
Well, he's just got very pronounced brows, and I find that very Slavic.
Okay.
Like super pronounced, like brow ridge.
You can email us at criterioncreeps@gmail.com and ask RJ about this.
There's none listening.
This character.
There's none listening. Don't worry. But the cousin or the friend or whatever, that conversation he has with that girl in the kitchen is unbearable. Yeah. Do you date? Yeah, I date. Who do you date? No one. So like, do you date? Yeah, sometimes. Okay. So do you date? And it's just over and over and over again for like 9 minutes. And I know what people say. Well, it's real, man. That's what real people talk about. They don't know what to say. And it's like, I don't fucking care. It's not entertaining. It's not good. It's like there's nothing of value there.
It doesn't evoke thought. Like it doesn't like no. It's not intelligent. It's like, no. I mean, well, in '66 it was groundbreaking. I went, I don't know. Maybe people's tastes have just so radically changed, and I don't know. Time could be spent watching insightful things where I think we could walk away better for it. And this film that titles itself Masculin, FEMININ, which is pretty fucking loaded to go into this. You'd be like, what's this going to be? And it's 1966, like fucking Godard politics. This guy, obviously, all his movies, he's got some fucking issues. And this guy has no business like fucking tackling anything, let alone like I'm gonna like really get into what women are like. It's like, oh, God, fucking great. This is the last person that should ever be asked about this. 35-year-old just getting divorced, Jean-Luc Godard. Hey, I'm gonna make movies about these women and really like let my camera gaze at them as they're like, oh look at this work of art this woman is. Look at her. Oh, she doesn't even know how beautiful she is. Let me just examine her more, and then I'm gonna fucking film this, and then I'm gonna have my film skills. I'm gonna have a private session here, boys. I'm gonna do some editing. Wink. And then
So you know the women with the bangs
and then
and the short hair?
Jerking off in there.
Excuse me?
What? So anyway.
Wow.
Poo to you, Goddard.
John Goddard.
John Goddard.
All right, John Goddard, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, this was
You simp.
no, yeah, no.
I mean, he is he not?
No, I don't know about that. I don't know. I'm gonna call him. He's not a simp. He's maybe a little bit of a creep. Contrary to people who want to be like, no. He sees through it all. It's like, no. not at all.
Does he see through it all, Jared? Does he?
Nah, he's not above it. He's as bad as any of those boys running around back then for that free love.
Well, who isn't?
He was cashing in.
Who isn't, though? You know what I mean?
No. What? You?
I don't know.
You are?
No, I didn't mean me. I just meant other people.
RJ. Man.
Why?
Okay.
I meant other people.
You're letting people stay over on that mattress you got by the kitty litter box?
No, the mattress isn't here now. I moved the litter boxes are in that room.
Yeah.
But that's all that's in there. It's kind of a waste of a room, to be honest. But
right. No.
But what do you do?
Oh.
What do you do?
You have any other things you want to say about it before I get to who hates masculine feminine? I mean, I should be reading who loves this, but
I mean, I don't even hate it. I just I don't care about this thing. Whatever. Who gives a shit?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is
so yeah. I mean,
it is not hitting us in the year 2021. The fall of man.
The fall.
Yeah, we're in the
not
midst
quite.
It's like this just seems out of touch, and it wasn't meant for this. It wasn't really meant for this time. But I feel I'm a ways away from what this movie was doing.
I agree.
So, Gary Collection, half a star, one day ago.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Fuck you, John Criterion. What? The French again? You are a sadistic bastard, John. At least there wasn't rape. Oh, but we have women firing guns and guys stabbing themselves and setting themselves ablaze. Nice trade-off, Dick. I don't know how much longer I can hang on to this runaway train of rape and debauchery. And the French, that is the Criterion Collection.
I co-signed. Yeah, everyone always gets mad at me. It's like, man, your opinion of Italians, English, French, Slavics, it's so harsh. And it's like, well, all I gotta say, man, is I learned from watching the Criterion. Okay, so if you gotta blame anyone, blame the Criterion, and Gary gets it. Gary Collection understands. He gets it.
Elena, half a star, writes, really boring, like really fucking boring.
Okay, Elena. Elena's favorite movies include Freaks from 1932. The Wolf House from 2018, Romeo and Juliet, the Leo one.
Oh, the Baz Luhrmann?
Yeah. And Venus in Furs from 1969.
Oh, some Franco.
Some Franco. But this person also only has 95 films logged, so
That's not bad. It's not bad.
95?
Well, I mean, maybe they just started using, or they stopped using, for all I know.
I mean, whatever you want to do, I guess, right?
Oh, God. Okay. Let's read this long one. From Daniel, half a star.
Yeah.
A classic case of Godard. Mind-numbingly boring. Ingmar Bergman's incredibly accurate review of this picture. And this guy goes on for some time. I don't care. Talking about Percocets. I don't know. Who shitting cares? I just want to mention Ingmar Bergman, not a fan of Godard and not a fan of Alcazar Balthazar. So I don't know. There's got to be somewhere in between. But on the flip side, 5-star, highest rated reviews. Whatever, these people.
Where I'm looking at this, Children of Coca-Cola and Twitter.com, 5 stars.
Yeah, of course.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, we know what they're saying here.
Get out of here.
Whoa. John Daniel. Oh, and he's got a little, was it Guido from 8.5?
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Ooh.
A rare oasis of profound empathy in Godard's late 60s period, which is defined by its cynicism. Jean-Pierre Lude gives the performance of his career as the archetypal Godardian male, a cultured, intelligent person who still isn't nearly as cultured or intelligent as they think they are, and who managed to alienate everyone around them, particularly the women they care about most. Do they care about them? The tragedy of Lude's fate in this is even more impactful than usual, as unlike Piccoli and Le Mépris or Belmondo and Père Le Fou, he isn't just a self-loathing reflection of Godard himself, but rather a representative of his generation, controlled and manipulated by social and political forces outside of their understanding and control.
Is that good?
I guess 5 stars good.
Is it La Ventura good? Because that's one of their favorite movies.
The movie they saw before. Oh, I saw Stalker in there too. Oh, is that a Jerry Lewis movie they watched? The Ladies' Man.
Like recently or in their tops?
In their most when they after watch or before watching this movie, they watched The Ladies' Man, and they also watched Candyman and Candyman 2021.
I mean, they've been ripping. They had like 4 movies in a day, so I don't see that. But
what I'm
this person's been ripping.
What I'm disappointed by, I think, here is I just saw a friend of the show, Sugarhead, watched and rated Red Desert 4 stars.
Is that good or bad?
It's Antonioni.
Antonioni. Antonioni.
Yeah.
You know Italy? Jarrett?
Sound like a dying old Italian man.
I am dying. I've been saying that for a long time. People don't believe me.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
You got any final words on Masculine, Feminine? This movie that neither of us liked and we still managed to talk about for like 50 minutes?
I would say no.
Cool.
If you want to plan to watch this, I'd just say no.
No.
Just don't.
No.
It's a pass.
Yeah. After the break, RJ and I jump out the window. Some say it was suicide.